All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, we have one 158 coming up, and that is going on June the 3rd, and very excited to be previewing and breaking down a couple of these fights with the one mixed martial arts featherweight champion, Thanh Le. How's your day going so far there, man?
Not too bad at all. Just finished training for my afternoon session and then rehydrating and getting ready to get back in there for this evening.
Yeah, and I imagine that's just general maintenance and stuff like that there. But, I mean, like, when are you going to be, I guess, trending towards a next fight camp, you think? Are you kind of getting a little close to that, or still just, like, kind of waiting around and seeing what the next opportunity is going to be put your way when one kind of figures that out?
Well, to kind of give you an update, we have some updates as far as I had an idea of who I was facing next because of the rankings and the call-outs and stuff like that from 1X. But that seemed to be a title eliminator fight. And I think it's going to work out that way where I'll face Tawanchai, but nothing's written in stone yet. So obviously we'll see what the company wants to do. But that seems to be the next logical matchup. So, yeah, we've been having our eye on him since the fight and since he knocked out Kim. And, I try to do my best as far as staying prepared and staying in training camp all year round. Honestly, just because I enjoy it. I like what I do as a job. And even if I wasn't getting paid and fighting on the big stage, I'd be doing the same thing. So it's always fun to just pick a guy and be like, okay, cool. What tools does he bring to the table? How would I face somebody like that? Let's start building some skills in that direction. So, camp doesn't really change my training schedule. It just changes the intent behind some of the rounds and the way we match up with partners and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's nothing's been announced or signed or anything like that. But that's kind of who we're eyeing up as far as who's next. And training's been pretty much the same. Like I said, in and out of camp, we kind of keep it the same.
Yeah, definitely a logical inference considering that, highlight you mentioned there and just the fact that they're positioned as number one in the division. But speaking of, what's positioned in the, top part of the hierarchy, we got a different, set of featherweight combatants going at it here at 158 with the featherweight Muay Thai action between Tawanchai and Niclas Larsen. Like, what do you expect from this fight coming up here? Because, Tawanchai is kind of in there in the rankings hierarchy, presently number 5 as of this recording and everything like that. So, what do you expect from this upcoming fight between two featherweight strikers in the Muay Thai ranks?
That's going to be an interesting one, right? Obviously, his last fight, what did he go? 2-1 in his last 3 with us, and those were all great showings. The knockout, obviously, with that lean back head kick was really nice. But yeah, I expect a really, really exciting fight. I think it's going to be interesting. I think Larsen's going to do, his more movement oriented type style that we've seen him do in the past. I'm not an expert on these guys, but just from what I've seen from the outside and kind of paying attention to that side of the world, and likes to get his hands involved really well. But man, this dude's a phenom. Obviously, he's been labeled as that. He's fighter of the year a few years ago. His style's really, really nice. I like the way he's calm, collected. A couple of matchups in there, he looked almost like he was getting bored, and he stays stoic. He keeps his heart rate low, and he's sharp. And I'm excited to see these two guys go at it because it's kind of a clash of two different striking styles. I guess you'll see that with a lot of people, but this one's interesting because you got more of the outside movement guy, and I think you'll see a little more movement from Larsen. And then you'll see that calm, collected, counter-striking style from him. So, yeah, I don't know as far as predictions go, but I think we're going to see an interesting matchup with our movement and our counter-striking. I think is going to be the main game played there, and I'm interested to see how it starts. I think that'll be a big indicator of how some things can unfold, whether whether he can get the timing down on Larsen and get those counter strikes in with the catch and replies, the big leg kicks and coming back with his sharp hands of his own. So I think I'm interested to see if that's how it's going to play out, because that's kind of how my mind's going when I picture it in my head. So yeah, I'm interested to see if I'm right about the start of the fight.
Yeah, and some interesting circumstance in play. I mean, obviously there was the Brooks versus Pacquiao main event initially set and then was postponed, but this one being moved up to the top part of the bill, and this being Niclas Larsen's, debut in the company, and you're top in the marquee. I imagine that's one of those like pressure makes diamonds kind of moments, or could, go the other way, could be more like the egg under the rock kind of analogy. So yeah, definitely a high pressure kind of situation on a big stage, it seems like.
Yeah, another piece of that is, I'm not even familiar as if Larsen has been in little gloves fighting at all. I'm sure he's training that, getting ready for this fight, but being in the ring or being in the cage with little gloves, fighting somebody that's done it a few times, that's an interesting little piece as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a guy that's very comfortable in the 4-ounce gloves and obviously a very explosive striker in an MMA sort of context, and you seem like a very goal-oriented kind of guy. Are you pseudo looking at a fight like this as something where it's like, oh, I could be out there in the circle testing skills with these guys in Muay Thai? You strike me as a guy that would maybe be eyeballing like a Muay Thai title in the featherweight ranks at some point in your career.
I'm very interested in expanding, my little reach for sure. I am 100% in mixed martial arts right now, and that's we've got such a good lineup coming up to try to get the belt that's where my focus is, and then also kind of eyeing up other divisions in mixed martial art. But with the debut of the whole 1X mixed rules situation, man, I would actually welcome something like that as a little intro into it and kind of see how that goes, and then kind of work my way to those other two sports if that's in my future,
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioning potential goals in other divisions, I would presume you're talking about moving up as opposed to going down. Is that what you're kind of touching on?
Yeah, I don't think going down is an option for where my body type and weight is and what my body wants to kind of hover around naturally. It's always worth playing with, but I don't think I can make it down to that weight class. So it looks like lightweight would be the next logical option. And yeah, I have a lot of respect for Oak and Christian and those guys up there battling it out. And I'm interested to see how that division plays out and kind of, maybe I knock out a few guys and, I guess figuratively and literally, but knock a few guys off the totem pole on at the featherweight and kind of see what lightweight's looking like.
Yeah, a ton of interesting prospects for sure there, man. And yeah, I figured that was the answer, but thought maybe I'd have a potential segue into the bantamweight co-main event here. I mean, this is another very high-octane kind of fight, and this being in the, MMA sort of ranks. I mean, this is looking like one of those like on-paper fights where, could be fight of the night. This looks like a bonus-heavy, kind of exchange here between these guys, just if their, previous history is any indication there. So are you kind of expecting the same, like a high-octane sort of fight that's perhaps not going to go the full distance?
For sure. I've seen a few headlines that kind of talk about this fight not going the distance, and I 100% agree. I think somebody's getting laid out. Obviously, we've seen well-roundedness from both guys, but a little more, I think, in my opinion, well-roundedness from, let's see if I can pronounce his last name correctly, Andrade. But I think we're going to see, maybe we might not even see anything close to mixed martial arts in this fight. We might just see a striking contest and somebody go to sleep nice and early. I think it's going to be super, super exciting. Hopefully we get a treat and we get to see a couple rounds, but I don't know if we're going to make it even out of the first round, man. It's going to be two sharp shooters, heavy hitters. They've got some power behind their hands, even though, man, they're smaller guys in the bantamweight division, but they throw heavy leather.
Yeah, and this one, beyond it being like a super action-minded kind of fight, it looks like it very much would be a title eliminator and kind of like set up that next contender for John Lineker. And yeah, just like a great looking division. I mean, Bibiano's still in there, even though he lost the title, still in that number one sort of spot, just the huge legacy he's had in the company. So yeah, a great time for the one bantamweight division for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the dude's he defended his belt however many times, countless times, and yeah, don't count him out. He's still in the mix, and this is a title eliminator. Let's say they match Lineker up with him. One more win from Bibiano, and he might go back there and either take the belt or get knocked out again. Who knows? But that was such a great first fight. I'd love to see it again.
Yeah, absolutely. A great throwdown for sure, and just, a lot to look forward to in the weight category, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, I was posting something the other day for like an on this day in history for the Sportskeeda site that I contribute to, and it was in 2013 where Bibiano captured an interim version of the bantamweight title, and I'm just like, oh my lord, the longevity this guy's had. And I mean, I realized it because I was following like one around that time still, but it's one of those things where you're like, damn, like he's been out here for almost a decade at a high level.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for him and what he's done with that division and some of the guys that he's beat. Man, it's been cool to see and watch from the outside, and then it was really cool to be able to fight, on that card in Singapore and see those guys out there myself.
Yeah, and a bit of banter coming into this one, which I kind of find interesting sometimes. If it seems authentic, it seems like these guys are having fun, kind of going back and forth with each other, saying things to the effect of like, oh, hey, if I break your teeth, I'll pay to get it fixed and stuff like that. And like, you got Andrade being like, oh, I'm the uncrowned bantamweight king. And then you have Kwon Won Il kind of responding and being like, he seems a little bit delusional to me. I mean, you're always like a soft-spoken, like casual kind of guy in the context of your fights. But like, what do you think about the banter in this one leading up? Are you kind of checking it out? Is it sort of fun? Like, how would you characterize that?
Yeah, I think, let's say fun. That's a good one to describe it. I mean, it's got to be natural. I think the reactions we're getting from the guys are at least genuine, which makes back and forth a little more fun to watch and hear and less cringy, Yeah. When guys you hear too many times of guys just trying to force trash talking or force being arrogant, or, if it doesn't come out genuine, it just doesn't come out right. It doesn't have the right feel. And I think the fans can kind of see that, you get a weird like Colby Covington vibe from people, and it's just a weird feel, right? And I've always tried to keep it as genuine as possible, and maybe that's kind of made me lose some opportunities in the past, but I can't do anything but be myself and try to put on a great show, and that's what I do. And I think at least some genuine feelings have come out in that trash talk, and it keeps it fun. And I think this one's a little more fun than like some of the other trash talking we've heard from people that gets you into the fight, more of like a John Jones DC, like, oh my god, these guys hate each other, and I don't know, I haven't seen that too much. And yeah, this one's more interesting. I like it. I like the whole fun side of it.
Yeah, Reeds to me is just like very game individuals that understand the point they're at in the division. I mean, like I said, title eliminator was like a phrase I've thrown around a couple times. So it's probably just like recognizing what the moment is and what it could vault them towards in the future.
For sure. And I think the fighters feel that, and that is what's kind of making this come out of them.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably speak to that mindset too before becoming champion. Like when you were in like that title eliminator sort of tier, like did that interpret your mentality in a certain way, maybe how you approach some of the pre-fight media, just how you expressed yourself in general? Like, can you speak to kind of that mentality at that juncture in your career?
Yeah, it's a funny balance, I think. I think trying to communicate to the company, to the fans, to you guys in the media, like how we truly feel about ourselves without sending the wrong message, like coming from a place like personally, I'm very confident in what I do, very confident in my skills and the way I approach fights. But, I can't I could, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel that it's accurate for my true feelings inside to just come out and say, oh, yeah, absolutely. No matter what happens, I am going to sleep this dude. He didn't have a chance in the world. But when you walk in the cage, we've heard guys like Mike Tyson talk about it all the time. Like when you walk into the ring, into the cage, into the circle, you've got to feel like you're king of the world. You've got to feel like you're untouchable, because you've got to have that confidence, that swag, that walking out, you're listening to your music and you're feeling it and you're feeling loose and relaxed and confident. Like, that's where that comes from, is that true sense of confidence and that true sense of, like, I don't care if I go out there and I knock him out or he knocks me out. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to perform my best. I'm going to try to be the best version of Tom Lee could possibly be, and I'm going to bring that guy out into the cage and we'll see what happens. But it's hard to communicate that out. So when you're in this, like, oh, wait, I am almost going to fight for a title, so I need to let these guys know that, I am confident. I do have all the skills in the world to I belong here. I'm not just some guy just visiting. I'm here because I belong here and I'm one of the best. That's hard to have a fine line of balance and communicating that out to people. And you see that. You see it get real cringy, and you see it get real like, oh, he must not be very confident because he's not saying the things that person A says and I know he's a confident person, So it's a little tricky, to be honest with you. And that's why I honestly don't think about that a ton. Like, you can kind of look back. I don't think the talk before fights has changed much from when I was a champion to when I was in a title eliminator type situation, or my first couple fights with one. Just understanding, like, look, I'm going to go be me. I hope my fans like me. I hope these guys enjoy the energy that I bring. But I am going to let you feel my energy, and I am going to try to bring the best show possible inside the circle,
Yeah, no doubt, and very much have a proven track record of doing as such, and just, such great insights into these two big bouts here, man, and I'm very appreciative of you coming on and giving those insights for sure, but I do want to be mindful of your schedule and everything like that. So to that point, Ton, is there anything that you might want to add as like a parting thought as we're kind of just wrapping things up here on the 158 preview show?
No, just, thanks for everybody for the support and the love, and, keep your eyes open. We've got some good things in the works, and, there should be some type of, let's say, announcement. We'll call it an announcement, some type of announcement within the coming weeks, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, hopefully those can be solidified for sure. Looking forward to that. But yeah, looking forward to peeping this next fight card on Friday and you providing the invaluable insights, definitely adding to that excitement for sure, man. So yeah, to reiterate, thanks again for coming on and everything like that, and you just enjoy the rest of your day too there, Ton.
Will do. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.